Hey everyone, I am working on this Italian paper journal. I am bound and determined that I'm going to finish a journal one way or the other. I don't even know how many started. And I figured out through this why I can't finish a journal. I get sidetracked so easily, as I'm sure a lot of you do. I'm surely not the only one. As you can see, I've been cutting a lot of circles out here. And I have been doing things with napkins and stamping and the reason for that is because when I do a journal, before I sew in my signatures, I like to do the things that I think will be more difficult if it's already sewn in. As I was looking at this, I found this piece of, isn't this beautiful? It's just like, I don't know, some kind of vintage lace that was in one of the scrap packs from Debbie Ham, and I thought that would make a perfect pocket, but all the things are going to be coming out of this. So I thought, okay, I'll get myself a piece of vellum. That way you can still see through. Everything's going to look good. Now, I haven't tried this yet. I did grab out my scrap pack of vellum. I initially thought I was going to use dyed vellum, like tea-dyed vellum or something. But I really think I've been playing with napkins. You know, I love to play and mess with napkins. So I really think what I was going to try to do is glue down some napkin on this vellum. In case you're wondering what today's video is about, other than trying to decorate my little book here, is really a lot of napkins. I had a napkin. Look, this is all I have left. I'm so tickled. I love it when I use things up. But I thought, what if I did something like this, and then you could still see the flowers through the pocket, but let's just do it here and see if it works. But through playing with the, napkins, it started with this. That's what I was doing. I was trying to figure out a way to, I need a glue book, don't I? To make this pocket where it wasn't, I could put something in it and it wouldn't fall out the holes. And then that led me to all of these things I've explained, which, when I get out a napkin, I go crazy and do all kinds of things with napkins. So I thought we would try this first, see if it works, and then I will show you some of the other things I've made with napkins. And of course, vellum, when you get it, put glue on it, it's going to curl, because as soon as it's wet, it curls. So I'm going to do like that, and then I don't know how high up this is. Let's see. That'd be about right. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so I'm going to flip it over and burnish it. I don't like to burnish it on the same side because I end up getting too rough with it and I tear it. So I always flip it over and burnish it on the back. It looks like I didn't get any glue at all right there. So, oh, that's because that's the part that I'm going to tear off. Okay, so I meant to do that. Good deal. All right, so I'm going to let that dry a little bit. I'm going to set something on it like this paint. And I'm going to put it over here to the side and let it dry. And then we'll come back to that. But I thought I would show you some of the other things that I've done with napkins. Now, oh gosh, it's probably been a year ago. I did a tutorial on fusing a napkin to, this is like the ream, your paper. When you buy a ream of paper, it comes in, and this is from Amazon. It comes in something like this. And the reason I'm doing this again was to show you that the Amazon packaging, this is, I covered it. I'm not sure exactly what weight. Oh, it's 24 pound. The outside of it is shiny, if you can tell. Well, that made me happy because the reams that I was using in that other tutorial were slick on the inside. And yes, you still can do this exact same thing. You just iron it on. I separated the plies of my napkin and just laid down the top ply and ironed it on. And when I ironed it, I did it on high, like cotton, I believe. Cotton strength is how mine is labeled. And just ironed it down. And because it's slick, it's got that coating on it, it will stick. Now, I'm not going to say that it won't peel up if I try really hard. It probably would. I'm going to look and see. But I'm just cutting out. This was a full napkin. Let's see if it will peel up. It doesn't act like it's wanting to peel up. But I will probably sew around this anyway. And I think this is going to make a beautiful sheet in a journal. And look at all this writing. Now, one thing to pay attention to is on your ream of paper, you know how when it meets, folds over it meets, there's a glue side. Well, I forgot that. And I ironed my paper all the way over on top of that glue side. Not going to be a big deal because I'm probably going to use this as a sheet. I couldn't decide if I wanted to use it as pockets or paper, you know, to write on, because I really like the fact that the inside of this is plain white. As I was saying before, the ones I got from my work were not plain white. On the shiny side was on the white part. So the outside of the package, which had the writing, was what was showing. So it didn't make a great writing spot like this does. So I was pretty excited when I saw that this was slick on the writing side. That way I could glue or, you know, fuse to that. Like I said, I just laid it on, turned my iron on high. I put a piece of parchment paper in between my iron and the napkin, and then I just ironed it down. So that's going to make a page in our journal. I have 2 signatures, so that's why I tore it. And I don't mind that it's not as wide, as tall. You know, I like different sizes in my signature, so I think that's going to be a pretty one. And again, I will probably sew around it. And how I'm going to fix the part where the glue is I'm probably going to put some lace there. I may even do something like this. I cut a bunch of circles, some out of my Florentine paper, and I cut some out of vellum, and then I glued that vellum to book page where you could see through it. I cut some out of book page, and then I glued down my napkin. So that's napkin on that one. Pretty flowers. And I used paint samples. These are paint samples. I will find one and show you. I just used all kinds of papers. I was going to use some music paper to cut circles to make page edges. So here is the paint sample. This one, I grunged it. I took some sandpaper, sprayed it with some distress oxide sprays, and roughed up my edge with my Karen edger that came from, it was a Tim Holtz edger. Let's see. I'll show it to you. Wasn't in my basket where it belongs. It's like this. And I just roughed up the edge so that it would take that distress ink really well. And when I sanded it a little bit, because my paint samples are slick, this is what it originally looked like. They're slick. So anytime I stamp or do anything to them, I have to use stays on, unless I rough it up with sandpaper first. So I did that. I also think I want to use some, of course, with my napkins. and do like this. Oh, I did do one with, this is a paint sample too. So I just, there's the back. You can see it's got, but you could write on that, or you can back it with tea-dyed paper or something like that, and then, you know, sew around it if you wanted to. But this is just a paint sample like this, only it was blues. I glued on some of the napkin with just a glue stick, and then I did a little bit of stamping on it. Doesn't that look neat? Isn't that a neat place to write? Or you can make it a tag. I could put something at the top. This was another tea-dyed paper. I did exactly the same thing. I just took my napkin, glued it down with my glue stick, and then did a little bit of stamping on it and distressed around it. And you have this great writing spot. So I like that. That was a couple things I did with the napkin. And again, I cut out the circles. So on this page edge where the glue, I will probably do something like this. I love these little Florentine pieces. I could do something like that. That would look good. And then maybe put a, let's see, I want something brighter than that. I was going to cut some out of, with my die cut machine that was bigger, because that's the largest punch I have is a, I think that's 1.5 inches. But I thought maybe I could put a little butterfly right there. And this is not my idea. This is something that Joanne posted on Facebook on the 3 Hens and a Chick Facebook page. And yeah, I just thought it was really cute and something like that. And maybe I would add, you know, little pictures. You could do squares and add like the little Tim Holtz pictures in them or something like that. These are the wallpaper samples, or not wallpaper. I think I've been saying that they're paint samples. And I just cut out circles, stamped a little bit on the back, and then I took a sticker. And there's a video by Louise Heinzel, and I will try to remember to link it below, where she stamps on the sticker, does the stamp on her circle, and then lines the sticker up with the stamp. So they have the same stamp, but she just overlays it. Well, instead of doing all that, because I have done it before and it's beautiful, this is also a sticker underneath here. I was trying to find one. This is more of the Florentine paper, and that's a sticker. Same sticker. I did a few like she done it. But then I also done, here's more napkin. Isn't that cool? I also just laid down the sticker, then stamped, where you didn't have to match it up. Here's one that I did like her tutorial. And I think maybe the only difference that I could tell was by overlaying it, stamping both pieces, it's a little bit darker. But for the most part, you get the same look, whether you stamp just the sticker or just the circle. And that's probably all confusing. But again, I will try to remember and link her video below, and it will make more sense when you see Louise do it. But that's how I'm going to do the edge of that. Then I have all this writing, and this came from, you know, off of a ream of paper. There's no gluing, just iron it down. So another, you know, instead of throwing this away, look, isn't that beautiful? I think that's going to look nice in that journal. And I think somehow I've turned to botanical things, maybe because this, I mean, that pattern in that Italian paper is flowers. So maybe that's how I got to turning this into a botanical thing. Another thing that I tried, and this I don't even know will go in the journal, but you know how your mind jumps from place to place when you're using certain things. This is, I called them popsicle sticks when I did the tutorial for it. And I was called out by several viewers that it's not a popsicle stick. It looks more like a tongue depressor. And I agree. These came from the Dollar Tree and they just were called craft sticks. So all I did now, first notice how skinny, how thin this one is compared to these. And that's because I ran this through an embossing machine, the crank kind. I put it in an embossing folder and ran it through the machine. And I don't know if you can see it as well as you can really feel that texture. And I did go over it a little bit, not a lot, because I was trying not to grunge it a whole lot with my ink to pick up some of that embossing so you could see it better. But this was super easy. I mean, it doesn't even feel like wood now. It's so thin. I think if I do it again, I'm going to not run it through the embossing machine. But all I did, I put glue, took a piece of my napkin. After I put the glue down, I laid my napkin on it, flipped it over, burnished it, and I did that. I just actually had enough at the time to wrap the whole thing. And then to clean off the sides, I took an emery board and, you know, filed it like this. And then I inked to cover up where I had tore some off the sides. But what I was thinking we could do with this, it's so thin now, I think this would make great charms. So what I was thinking about was maybe making probably 3 charms out of this one stick. Let me grab just one of my paper circles that will go from side to side, and I'll draw a line that hopefully I'll be able to see. Yeah, I can see it. And I think I can just cut this with my scissors. That's what I'm going to try to do. Like I say, it's so thin, it ought to just, and it is, it's just cutting through. Isn't that cool? We're going to punch a hole in it. You could probably, you know, let's do one of them. I thought about, I wonder if it would take the glossy accents, if that would make it look more like a charm. I didn't do very good on my circle, did I? It's kind of lopsided, but we're going to work on it a little bit here. And then I have this kind of a end, and I thought that kind of reminded me of, like, you know, a banner kind of charm. So I thought we could just snip up like that with our scissors. Keep in mind now, this is a popsicle. Well, it's a craft stick, and yes, it's bigger than wider than a popsicle stick. I don't want to get it too pointy or it will get sharp, but we can always take our nail file or a sanding block and sand those down. Yeah, that feels better. Looks a little bit better. It's still lopsided, but that's okay. So now I'm just going to cut across because that's going to be a charm too. Like that. And I'm going to, let's try the emery board, see if it works better. And I don't want to make it completely round. I'm just trying to take the pointy off of it because I want it to have a banner shape. I think that's going to make a neat charm too. What do you think? Kind of neat. And then I'm going to round this one again. And I think I'm going to try to round it without drawing. Just round the corner. Oh, and this stick was painted. It was a blue color. It was just one I already had done. I didn't paint it. And when I say painted, just with acrylic paints, I believe. Nope, that's a lie. I think I used distress inks on this. I just took, you know, your little sponge and went like that on it and colored it. I'm pretty sure that's how this one was done. So I'm going to ink that back up. And that's a neat shaped little charm. I don't know. It kind of looks like surfboard. But so we have 3 charms here. I don't know. I just like it. I like charms, all different sizes, shapes. I think they're fun to hang off of pages. And I'm thinking I do want to try the glossy accents and see if that works. This must have been the one that was almost empty, and I took the top off of it, so it's not going to squeeze. I'm just going to use this little, it's actually a makeup spatula. Boy, when I was young, I could have used that kind of a spatula makeup I put on. Whew, it was a bad deal. I probably should have punched a hole in it first. What do you think? So it definitely brings out those colors. Gives you anytime you use the glossy accents, it really, really makes your colors stand out better. Isn't that pretty? So those are some charms. I thought that was neat. I thought it was fun. A neat way to use the napkins. If you don't have napkins, there are lots of sites on Etsy, including my own shop, where you can just buy, you know, multiple, 3 or 1 or 5. A lot of them, I do it too. You can buy 5 random, so they're all different. Most people don't want a pack of 20 because look at all the things. And this was a dinner napkin. This wasn't even a full-size napkin. This was just the dinner size. And actually, I think this one was one of the dinner size as well. It wasn't a full-size napkin. But I made all of these. I've made the pocket. I made a whole bunch of these little discs. I can't find them all right now, but you have to trust me. I made lots of them. And the tags, the charms. And let's check on our pocket over here, see how we're going with it. Okay, so it feels kind of dry, or pretty dry. And I'm just going to pull down and it will tear. If you pull down away from your paper, it just kind of tears. Or you could do the same thing, use your file and pull down, and it will give you a nice edge. And then, like I say, I didn't glue this all the way. I wanted it to be more of an angle shape. Boy, that's pretty. I love this lace. It is so pretty. And I think I'm going to sew around it. Okay. So as you can, I think this was just it's not even heavyweight scrapbook paper. And I stenciled on the inside. If you can see the colors, I kind of tried to mirror the shape and the colors that were on the outside. But of course, you can write on all of that. It's really light. So here is what I was planning. Now I'm trying to decide, do I want to let some of this jagged edge peek out? I think what I'm going to do, because, a lot of times vellum is sharp. It's kind of I don't know. I think I'm going to fold this down so that when I sew it, it gives kind of a smooth edge, because this is going to be a pocket. This is going to be a decorated pocket to slide things in. And I think that by folding that over maybe a little bit, it won't catch as much maybe. So I think I'm going to sew around this. I may glue it down in some spots where these little knots are. So I'm going to get my Fabri-Tac. Isn't that a pretty pocket? I really like that. That's cute. Okay, so do I want to sew it down or just glue it on? I think I do want to glue this edge over, though. So I'm going to put a little Fabri-Tac in there, too. I don't even think I'm going to straighten this up where it comes off the edge. I think I'm going to leave it like that. I like that. But I think I think I am going to sew around this page, but I'm just going to glue this side here. I'm not going to sew it down. Does that make sense? Like, I'm going to sew around the page just as a pretty border. But you know, this kind of a pocket you could mass make. You could do all your napkins and put it on the vellum or whatever you want to put it on. Maybe you just want to put it on the page. I just think it's like it's a neat way to layer and use up a lot of scraps. And it, you know, it didn't really require a lot of decoration because the napkin is your and the little piece of scrap that is the decoration. So I'm going to sew around this. See, it's a pretty good size pocket too. Won't that look cute? I'm real happy with that. Okay, but again, that's why I never finished a journal, because that took entirely too long to make one little pocket. Honestly, what I should have done probably was sew across that, but I'm not going to worry about it or fret or try to take it back up. I'm going to leave it how it is. So I'm going to sew around this, and then I'll be back. What do you think? So I sewed around it. On the sides, I put kind of a decorative stitch, which looks really nice on both sides. And I didn't take up much of the writing spot. And then on the top and bottom, I just used kind of a squiggly stitch and left some of my string. So, you know, this is kind of a, I don't know what this is going to be, like an eclectic, I don't know how to say it, kind of a journal, because it has pretty florals. It's still grungy. I'm just loving how it's turning out. Another idea I had, and I just didn't get it done today, was Lindy and Sean, and I will link that below. She is doing a challenge for April. I think it's Give a Scrap, maybe, is the name of the challenge, but I will link it below. And the video she made today was collaging a masterboard, but it was bigger. And I actually wanted to do that and incorporate some of the napkin pieces, you know, just glue it over the top. But I didn't get that done. So I do want to do that at some point. I want to use a whole bunch of different kinds of papers, a different napkin, because I've thankfully used up all of this one, but this little piece. And don't be surprised if it don't show up on that masterboard. But I like that. And then I think it would also be fun to incorporate some of the things that are in this journal. You know, some of the fibers, uh, textures. I don't know that I will put lace and things on it, but maybe I'll put some of the wallpaper, absolutely some of the Florentine papers, maybe a little bit of the vellum. I don't know. I'm all excited. When I saw her video this morning, I just got real excited and thought that is a great idea to add so much to your journals. A masterboard, you can do so much with it. So this is how the beginning of this is going to look with my new page. That's how this opening signature will look. Isn't that pretty? And it just lays so good, and it's got all the grungy things coming off. I love that. I love that addition. But again, that's why I don't finish the journal, because all of this video I spent showing you what I've done with napkins, and I made one piece that actually got glued down. But, you know, you really can't say that, because I've made things, you really can't say that. I'm the one said it. I've made things that I'm going to hang off the side, so I guess that does count as something. Plus, I had already made this tag, which could slide down right in there. Look, it's the perfect height, size. If I put a topper on it, it would just come out perfect out of the top of my journal. That is wonderful. I love that. And then I also have this piece, which I'm going to have to lay it under something because it was not a heavy cardstock. And when I glued down my napkin, it kind of warped it a little bit, but I love it. Again, you don't have to sew around it. When you use a glue stick, as long as you put a lot of glue on there, and I do, I'm pretty heavy with my glue stick, it's not going to come up. But I mean, I still have to decorate this. I have to put things on it. Plus, we made some circles We did make another page. Look at that. Let's see. This will be like this. And I made some circles to hide my mistake of ironing the package glue. I wonder if I could peel that off now. Well, I'm kind of afraid to keep picking at it because I don't want to tear my, if it peels up and tears all the way through, then I've messed up my napkin. But look at me, I just keep picking at it. So I don't know what's going to happen with this. But I also think this page I'm going to sew around. And I like to do the sewing before I put my signature in. So I'm not going to mess with that anymore. I'm afraid I'm going to tear it. But there will be wonderful writing spot in here. May do some stenciling. I don't know. This is just so pretty. Plus, when you iron your napkin like this, and you can still see some of the writing from the wrapper, but I don't mind that. I love it. I don't care that, you can tell this was used packaging. I love that. That's part of a junk journal, isn't it? Being able to camouflage but still know what you used. And I definitely will probably use more napkins. I'll probably use some. I've done tutorials where I did them on index cards before. I'll have to do that. And I think that I'm going to sew around it, maybe add some lace. But I thought while I was messing and making some things and trying to create some pages, I would just show you some of the napkin things that I had done with 2 napkins. This was a dinner napkin. We made 2 pages. This was all from one small dinner napkin. I have this little piece left. Made lots of these little circles. I wish I could find them all. I did cover the stick and we made 3 charms out of that. And then we made this beautiful pocket. So I don't think that's too bad for 2 dinner napkins, and we made, there's more circles. I just don't know where they are. But I think that's, I don't know. I just love using napkins. It's an easy thing. Oh, look. I didn't use it all. I do have a big piece left. Woot woot. I'm definitely going to use this on some pages. Yes. So, yes, all of this, the circles, the charms, the pocket, and I still have all of this left. And you can see this was just a dinner napkin. It wasn't a full size. Love it. So I urge you to get out your napkins, have some fun, have some play. I also think that I might have to put a little bit of it on my ledger page that's in this. Why, I don't know. I just think it's going to look beautiful. On this ledger page, I have a fold over side. Wouldn't it be pretty to, because you'll still should be able to see the print underneath. What do you say we do something like that real quick before you leave me? We're gonna put some of our napkin on this. Another thing we could do with this is make some paper buttons and use this. I'm not going to do it today. I think I've bored you enough, but that is another thing you can certainly do. Make some pretty paper buttons with these napkins. And I do have a tutorial on paper buttons. All that you would do different is this over the top where your words would show through. And see, you can still see that beautiful writing. I love it. So that's a fun thing that you can do. And you can write on this too. It has the smoothest, best feeling. Once this dries and is glued down, you'll just love it, I think. And you could also, I could stamp a number right there, which, I'm going to have to. My goodness. What would a video be without me stamping a number? You know what? I don't want a number. I do want a number, but I'm also going to use that. That's my cat sack stamp. It will probably make a lot of appearances. So I think I'll use this number And again, wonder why I can't finish a book, because I take too long. I was just talking to my friend about this the other day. Why does it take so long to make a journal for me? I used not take this long. Like that. And then also I want to use my little vintage stamp. It needs to go here. And you can barely see it. You can see it really well in person, but oh, I just love this stamp. Love it for so many things. I said I wasn't going to bore you with it, but I promise it will just take a second. See, this is how it happens. I only had a few ideas when I started this video, but I've just kept on till I have almost used all of this napkin. So here's some of the paper buttons that I made before. And I hadn't quite finished them. And I know that's a lot of this same napkin to keep using, but maybe I won't, end up using it all in this book. But you could put a piece, maybe a little flower, one of the flowers on here. So let's just glue. Yes, that is perfect. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry. That can be one of our, or it could just be a writing spot or part of a cluster. But I really think I'm going to put a couple holes and make it a button. And then on this one, I'll probably do about the same thing. Doesn't that look neat? I really like that. Here's the other one. Yeah, ink it a little bit more. And there we go. So those could be paper buttons, charms, embellishments for the edge of your pages. We still have plenty of napkin left for our collage. So these are all the things we've made today. I didn't do these two on camera, but they're the same as these, just a bigger piece. Exact same thing. And the same as we did on this and our pocket. So I hope you like this. I hope it gave you some ideas and encouraged you to get your napkins out and play for a bit. As always, I will try to remember and link all of the videos I've mentioned below, along with my Etsy store and the online sales. I get a lot of napkins from there too. This is just fun. Look at all of this goodness. Isn't that fun? I love it. Thank you for joining me. I'm excited about this video. I like how it all turned out. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time. Bye.